welcome. Good. So tonight is the first of our online lessons for our writing task 2, IELTS writing task 2 foundation. Good. So we're going to start right at the beginning. And over the years that I've been teaching IELTS, I've worked out a simple formula, and I'm going to step you through this evening. If you happen to have done it before, this is really good revision. And I suggest that you take notes or screenshots as we go along, because we will be doing a couple of exercises along the way and checking our answers. Good. So let's get straight into it. Good. So for both the general and academic IELTS writing test, we need to do two things. We need to write 120 words. Sorry, what am I talking about? 250 words. And we need to be able to do that in 40 minutes. If we're very clever and we organize our time really well, what we could do is we could write task 1 in 15 minutes. And then that would give us an extra 5 minutes to write task 2. And task 2 is really important because it's worth twice the marks. I recommend to my students to actually write task 2 first and then finish that within your 40 to 45 minutes, and then to move and do task 1. Simply because it's worth twice the marks. I've seen students taking 30 to 35 minutes to write task 1. And that really shortchanges them on the amount of time that they have to write task 2. So we have to write an essay, and there are 5 different kinds of essays that we might be asked to write. I've broken them down into roughly 5. So we all know about an agree, disagree essay, or an advantage, disadvantage essay. And these are what we call two-sided essays. So we need to argue, we need to talk about points on both sides. Then we can get a problem solution essay, and that one has a different structure. Sometimes we could get a discussion essay, and very often that can take the form of any one of the essays above. And then too, we might get a 2-question essay or a 2-part essay. That's an essay that asks us to answer 2 questions, discuss the advantages or discuss the disadvantages and give some solutions. So we need to answer 2 questions, and we need to be aware of that, because for that we need a slightly different structure. So how do you know if you're ready to take the IELTS test? So here I'm just giving you a couple of tips that will help you to prepare for this test. It's a challenge and it does take practice. So give yourself time to practice before you register to do the test. Get to know the test. If need be, take a short strategic course and practice writing tests. The other thing I highly recommend is take a mock test and get feedback on your writing. Okay, this is an expensive test, and if you take a mock test, it can give you an idea of your band score so that you don't sit the test before you're actually ready. Once you know where you lie, where your band score lies because you've done a mock test, then I suggest you study to work on and improve your weaker areas. Very often this could be the grammar. And certainly it's always advisable to upgrade your level of vocabulary. And then when you're ready, give us a call and book your test date with us. So let's have a look at how is my task marked. The first mark the examiner gives me is what we call task response. Another word for that used to be arguments and evidence, and I like to call it that too. So in order to get a high mark here, what do I need to do? I need to make sure I've answered the correct question. I need to make sure that I've answered all parts of the question. I need to have enough good main ideas, and I need to be able to support these with good evidence and/or examples. This is something that we can improve the band score for quite quickly if you follow the steps that I'm going to give you in the strategy this evening. The second mark the examiner gives me is the CC mark, and that stands for coherence and continuity. I like to call it CC, and what does it really mean, these big fancy words? Well, is it well organized? Is your essay easy to read and understand? And does it flow well? And this too, once we work on structures and we learn to work with linkers effectively, we can do reasonably well to increase our CC score reasonably quickly. The third mark the examiner gives me is for my grammar. So how can you get a higher mark for your grammar? And this one takes more time. You need to ask yourself, can I use a variety of sentence types? Can I use a variety of grammar structures? And if I'm aiming for a 7, more complex grammar structures. And how accurately can I use these? If I'm aiming for a 7, I need to have a good degree of accuracy. So do take a screenshot of this one. These are grammar points that are very easy to use in the IELTS essay, and all of these work towards, if I can use these accurately, this is what's going to give me that 7 for my grammar. So do revise this grammar, revise the tenses, especially those irregular verbs, and know the key words around the meanings. Because remember that this writing is also what I need for my speaking. And my writing part 2 translates into my speaking part 3. So they're very similar in terms of how we have a general discussion. It's really useful to be able to swing between active and passive. And once again, getting those irregular verbs correct. And then we want to use modal verbs and verb patterns. This takes my writing up a notch. If sentences are very useful, and very often it's useful to be able to compare. And once again, read, read, read. And go to the library, take out magazines like Reader's Digest, like a science, an everyday science magazine or an everyday psychology magazine. There are plenty on the shelves, and read across a variety of different topics and collect phrases and vocabulary that you like. The other thing we need to do is we need to revise sentence types. So am I using a variety of sentence types? Am I using compound sentences? Am I using more complex structures? So we can help too with your grammar, I advise get feedback on your writing. Let me mark one of your writings for you, and I'll give you feedback on what grammar points you need to work on, need to include, and perhaps need to get more accurate. And the fourth mark the examiner gives me is for vocabulary. So I need to show the examiner that I can use a good variety of topic-specific vocabulary accurately. I need to spell correctly, and I need to use good natural collocation or native speaker collocation. So I need to sound like a native speaker, especially if I want that 6.57, 7.5. So you need to identify, do you have a problem here? And we are told, Cambridge University tells us that you can only learn 10 new words a day. So I suggest that in your vocabulary book, you record 10 new words every day and you try to learn those. But of course, Cambridge University also tells us that we need to see a word 16 times to remember it. So we need to revise this again and again. If you're traveling on a bus to work or a train, carry your vocabulary book with you. And just try and have a look at it, perhaps every morning when you're fresh, perhaps every evening, just before you turn in. So now we're going to have a look at a very simple 5-step strategy to write an essay. And I've been teaching Ielts for 20 years now. And over time, I evolved this. And each one of these questions is designed to make sure that you cover all the points to get those marks that we spoke about a little bit earlier. So question number 1, I'm going to ask myself, it's not actually coming out there. Question number 1 is going to be, what's the topic? Ask yourself, what's the topic? So here on the screenshot, I've got 4 different topics, 4 different questions, exam tasks. Let's have a look at the first one together. I want to be able to identify what topic, what am I going to write about? And there's my sentence number 1. Television does more harm than good. Do you agree? So if you're near a chat box, if you want to just type in the little chat box, what do you think your topic is? What's your subject? What are you going to write about in this essay? Just read number 1 first. We'll do first number 1 together. Did you decide that television is the topic in number 1? Oh, I've lost my formatting. So in number 1, in question number 1, in task number 1, my topic is television. Where's my pen? There it is. Okay. My topic is going to be television. Good. Now, what I want you to do is have a look at question 2, 3, and 4. Read them through, and I want you to decide what is the topic for each one of these essays. I'll give you a few minutes.
I don't know where I can write it down.
Is it? You want to be able to write it down? Are you able to take it or type it into the little box? What did you decide for number 2?
I haven't got any space to, or little box here.
Yeah.
No, not this one. No. I can't find a space to write it down.
Is there not? I've got a little box, chat box down at the bottom.
Not on my screen, probably.
Okay. I've just typed in there. Can you see the chat box? You can't see the chat box?
No.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Thanks. We're still mastering this new technology. And
That's all right. So
the other week. So what would you say the topic is there for number 2? The topic's obviously going to be television, isn't it? Yes. Once again, television, good or bad? Okay, good. And what did you decide for number 3? The benefits of having a television.
Same about the television again.
And once again, exactly. So we can see that my topic for all these exam tasks is the television. We're going to be writing about the television. And in number 4, what are the problems if there's a television? Okay, great. So we can see that in each one of these essays, 1 to 4, my topic is going to be writing about television. Okay, let's move on to my next question. So this is all you need to do when you get your booklet in front of you. Your task will be right at the top of the page, and you'll have a whole blank page below that. So we're really going to use this booklet. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to circle your topic, and you can write a big, let me see if I can do that with this pen. You can write a big T there, so you know that's the topic. And this just highlights it. It presses it into my mind, and then I can move on to my next question. Question number 2 is going to be...
do you mind if you can ask the questions as well, please?
Yes, go ahead, Narinder.
I was wondering, like, are we able to write it down on the question paper, like while we were sitting in the test?
I wouldn't take the time to write their topic television. What I want you to do is just put a big circle around it and put a big T there, just like I've done there.
So just to highlight what the topic is regarding.
That's right, yes. Remember, you'll be using a pencil. You'll only be allowed to using a pencil. So this is what I want you to do, so that when you look at it again, you see the questions are simpler than they used to be. But when you look at it again, you want to make sure that you stay on this topic. And the next question that we do is even more important than that. And my second question is going to be, so I've lost the highlighting. It's not formatting in our wonderful platform. So I'll just skip the next few slides and we'll get through, because I had them all nicely highlighted for you.
Now I was wondering, like, can we get the sample test answers as well regarding these questions, like which we get it now?
I did actually have them all highlighted, but it seems when we're uploading, we're not able to pull the highlighting through into the slide. So what I suggest you do, if you can, is just take screenshots or just follow and listen. The lesson will be available online afterwards for you to access again.
Okay.
So my next question, question 2, is going to be, what's the focus of the topic? What's the focus? So now we're going to have a look. We know that my topic is television. And now we have a look at question number 1. What would my focus be?
The focus would be about the harmness of the television.
Yes, I guess our topic is going to be television, good or bad. And this question number 1 is pretty general. But if I have a look at question number 2, once again, we can see that Television is my topic. And now have a look. What would my focus be? Television, good or bad? And what would my focus be in question number 2?
It's more harmful to children. It's just about the children's.
Children, that's right. In this one, in this essay, I can only write about children.
Children's, yeah, rather than writing down the everyone like
That's
older
right.
people or the middle-aged people.
Exactly.
We have to mostly concentrate on the children's.
We're going to find main ideas to talk about children. Exactly.
Yes.
Have a look at number 3. My topic is still going to be television. Yeah. And I'll just write my big F there. And my topic is still going to be television. What is the focus in question number 3?
He is home outbreak disadvantage. It's talking about the if we have a television at home, what's the disadvantages of the
That's right. Have a look at that. In the home, there it is. In the home. So that's going to be my focus. So now I can write about television. Can I write about children?
No, we can, yes.
Yes, I can, because of course children live at home too, don't they? Good.
Yeah.
And once again, have a look at question number 4.
I'm sorry, I don't even know the name. Please, I'm sorry to ask you, but
my name is Susan.
Hi, Susan. Are we the only one like online, or is there anyone else?
No, we've got about 8 or 10 people online tonight.
Oh, Jesus! So I'm the only one speaking up.
For the moment,
I'm the only one speaking up with you. Like they're probably listening. Everybody, hi everybody. I'm just making clearance to. So if there is any confusion,
that's all right. Let's have a look at question number 4.
Yes,
and what is the focus for question number 4?
It's about the problems.
This time, that's an interesting one, isn't it? We're going to come to that question because that's question number 3. But have a look at, we're talking about television for a family. Problems for a family, yes, but this is a problem solution essay. And I'm going to be writing about, my focus is going to be the problems when there's a family, when there's a television for the family. Okay. So that's going to be my focus here. So we're talking about in the home or for the family. It's really the same thing, isn't it? Can I write about the children? Yes, I can. Okay, good. So I'll just maybe, okay, so we've done these. I lost my formatting there, so I'll just skip those 2. And I'll skip that one. All right, so let's have a look at this. I want to ask myself, am I on focus? Because this is a very common error that students make. It is so easy to go off the focus. It's late in the afternoon, we're tired, and we've got a topic. Sometimes we get excited about it, and we can very easily go off focus. I do it myself too, and I write a whole essay for my students, and then I look at it the next morning and I go, oh my goodness, I'm off focus now. So it happens very easily. Good. All right, so let's just have a look. Have a look at sentence number 2. We looked at it earlier. It is said that television is more harmful to children than beneficial. To what extent do you agree? And the question I asked earlier was, can we write about kids playing computer games? Well, I guess sometimes computer games could be on the television, but that's stretching it a bit. So we're not going to be writing about computer games. Can I write about Dad relaxing and watching the sport?
No.
No, because this one, we know my focus is going to be the children, isn't it?
Children, yes.
Yeah, but if I have a look at question number 3, can I write about Dad relaxing and watch the sport?
Yeah, it's in the family.
Yes, I can write about Dad. Can I write about Mum watching her cooking programs during the day?
Yes.
Yes, And can I write about children?
Yes.
Yes. So this is what I want you to understand, is make sure that you write on the focus. If your question says, is it more harmful to children, then you need to come up with 2 or 3 main ideas that only talk about children. But if they give us family, then it's much broader, and then I can come up with 1 idea about children, 1 idea about dad, and 1 idea about mum.
Yes.
So that's a broader topic to write about. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. What's the purpose? Okay, so in other words, what kind of essay must I write? What's the purpose for my writing? Am I writing to agree or disagree, or argue for or argue against? Or am I writing about advantages and disadvantages? So let's have a look at question number 1 again. Now we know that my topic is television. And what is my purpose? If we went back to the 5 kinds of essays that I could write, which essay do I have to write? And have a look at this little word here, agree. Okay.
Agree.
Do you agree? So this essay is going to be an agree-disagree essay.
Yeah.
And the way in which I write it is I'm going to agree, and I'm going to argue for some points, and maybe I'm going to argue against another point. Or I could do it the other way around. I could argue against first, because that is my strongest view, and then on the other hand, I could argue for one point. Question number 2, what kind of essay must I write? Have a look at this question here. To what extent do you agree? That simply means how much do you agree? And once again, you're just going, it's the same essay as number 1. You're just going to say how much you agree. Do you agree by 1 point to 2 points? Or do you disagree by 1 point to 2 points? So both number 1 and 2 are agree-disagree essays. Let's read question number 3. Now, what kind of essay am I going to write here? Have a look at these words, benefits. Can you think of another word for benefits? And disadvantages. So my benefits are my advantages, aren't they? So this is another 2-sided essay. And here I need to write about the advantages of having a television in the family home. And I need to counter-argue that with writing about some disadvantages. So very often my main points could be the same, but the language I use to write the essay will be slightly different. In essay number 3, I need to talk about an advantage, a second advantage. On the other hand, a disadvantage. But in essay number 1 and 2, I need to talk about arguments for and an argument against having a television in the home. What about number 4? What are some of the problems that families can have when there is a television in the home, and suggest some solutions? So many students tend to think that the focus is actually the problems, but the focus is writing about the family. My focus, the kind of essay that I need to write is going to be a problem solution essay. So we can see that we can have one topic, television, in each of these 4 essays. We can see that topic number 1 is quite general. We have to talk about the focus of children in task 2, and we have to talk about the focus of family in task 3 and 4. And task 1 and 2, we have to write an agree-disagree essay, whereas with task 3, we have to write an advantage-disadvantage essay, and with task 4, we have to write a problem-solution essay. So there are many, many ways that the examiner can present our task 2 essay to us. So question number 1, what's the topic? Question number 2, what's the focus of the topic? Question number 3, what's the purpose? Or what kind of essay must I write? Now let's move on to question 4, and again I'll just flick forward a couple of slides. Question 4 is really important. So now I'm on topic, I'm on focus, and I know what kind of essay to write. Now, what is my question number 4? My question number 4 is, what question must I answer? And this is a really important one. And I think I've noticed over the years that students want to rush this process that I'm giving to you now, this simple 5-step strategy, these 5 questions. And very often I see that in an exam, students are just going to suddenly go read their topic and start writing straight away without thinking through and without planning and without asking the right questions. And I'm not going to get the best results doing that. I suggest that you take some time. You can take as much as up to 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes to prepare these questions, as well as thinking and planning, which is my next question. But this question number 4 is really important, because if I know what question I must answer, then I can answer the right question. So I've done the first one here for you, and I've picked task number 1 again. Television does more harm than good. Do you agree? Now have a look. Can you see here? This is my positive statement. Okay. And we know that English is a word order language, and our word order is subject, verb, and then object. Complement comes after my full verb. So for our purposes today, we're going to keep it really simple: object or object clause, subject or subject clause if I've got more than one word. Now, I want to be able to turn my positive statement into a question, into the correct question. Okay. Now, how do I do this? If I go straight to my verb in my positive statement, that gives me a clue as to my grammar structure for my question. So there's my verb, does or do, and we know that do is a doing verb. I do my homework, I do my washing, I do my ironing, I do my housework. Okay, so it's a doing verb, and my doing verbs take my auxiliary verb, do, does, or did. So I'm turning this into my question: does television do more harm than good? And that makes it easy to answer, doesn't it? Because does television do more harm or good? Then I'm going to answer yes, it does, or no, it doesn't. Yes, it does more harm, or no, it does more good. So I want you to do the same for question number 2. This one's got a few more words, so I want you to narrow it down to subject, verb, object. And first of all, I want you to write the positive statement. And then I want you to turn the positive statement into the right question. I'm going to give you a minute or two to do that. Easy? Let's have a look. Did you get something like this? So I've simplified my question. Television or TV is more harmful to children than good. And now I need to make a question with that. Now, did you go straight to the verb? And what did you notice about this verb? Is it a doing verb? Can I do is? No. Okay, this is my state verb. So my state verb is, am, is, are, has a different question rule in my basic grammar. And what I need to do is I need to be able to change the order. So my verb comes first and my subject comes second. So my question becomes, is TV more harmful to children than good? And there should be a question mark there. Okay. And now once again, it's easy to answer, isn't it? Yes, TV is more harmful to children. Or no, I don't think so. I think TV has more good points for children. Now try question number 3. The benefits of having a television in the family home outweigh the advantages. What is my subject going to be? What is my verb? And what is my object? Try this one. And check your answers. Did your sentence look something like this? Did your question look something like this? The advantages of television outweigh the disadvantages. And so my question is going to be, if I go straight to my verb again, outweigh. Outweigh is a doing verb, isn't it? So I need to use my grammar question rules for doing verbs. So I start with do. The advantages, I've just shortened it there, of television in the home outweigh the disadvantages. And then I can discuss my advantages, discuss my disadvantages, and come to a conclusion. And let's quickly have a look at sentence number 4. Television in the family home can create problems for the family members. Describe some problems and and suggest some solutions. And there I've got my subject television in the family home, my subject clause, if you like. Have a look at this modal verb can create. Now these modal verbs are really important and we should use them because it's not always going to create. Can create or may create problems. And therefore, I'm going to turn that positive statement into a question. And now I need to use my question word, what. What problems can, or what problems does television create for a family? So this is a really, really important stage. And I've been working with a student who wants to get level 7, and he's been skipping this step. And each time he does that, he doesn't quite focus on the right question to answer, and his arguments are not spot on. So there I have question number 1. So learn this little formula. Question number 1, what's the topic? Question number 2, what's the focus? Question number 3, purpose, or kind of essay I must write. And question number 4, what question must I answer? Let's have a look at number 5. What do I have to do next? Now, that slide says, though we've lost our formatting there, think of ideas and plan at the same time. And have a look at the diagram that I've pulled up here. This is what we would call brainstorming. Okay, and you may well have done this in your own classes when your teacher says to you or your tutor says to you, brainstorm all the ideas. And you just write them down anywhere, all over the place. This is what we call brainstorming. And it's a very creative and a very useful function. And we are, in fact, going to brainstorm. But we're not going to write it like this because we don't have time to then go and sort out all my ideas. So the reason I call question number 5, think of ideas and plan at the same time, is to save that next step. So we're going to think of an idea and we're immediately going to put it on one side of the argument or another. So have a look at this. Is television more harmful to children than beneficial? And we're going to say yes or no. Yes, television is beneficial to children. So we're going to draw this line down the middle because this is my two-sided essay, isn't it? And on the one side, we're going to say, yes, television is beneficial to my focus, children. And I suggest that you break your sentence down into these key components because that is what you're going to keep referring back to. And that's how you're going to stay on topic and on the focus of the topic, and how you're going to make sure that you're writing the right kind of essay. So we're going to have yes, TV is beneficial on the one side, and then we're going to have all our ideas for no, I think television does more harm, on the other side. So what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a few minutes, is I want you to think of 1 or 2 ideas, 1 or 2 yes, I agree ideas, and I want you to write them on this side. And I want you to think of, if you can, 1 or 2 ideas of no, I think TV does more harm to children. And immediately think of them, I want you to write them on this side. So the idea is that as I think, I put it straight into a form of planning. And we just need to write keywords here, not full sentences. We don't have time in 40 minutes to write a full sentence and then to recopy the full sentence again onto my writing test paper. So just keywords. I'll give you a few minutes to jot down a couple of your own ideas. Okay, and let's move on. Did you get ideas similar to these in the next slide, or did you have some different ideas? I'm just going to look at the one side, at the yes side of my argument for now. And the notes that I made were educational, children occupied, especially school holidays and rainy days, and builds general knowledge. Did you have anything that you could add to that on your side for yes, television is beneficial? Now the thing is that I can do better than that, because if I'm going to try and extend these points into full sentences, I could start to waffle. Do you know that word waffle? I could start to use a lot of words to say very little. So I want to be a little bit more specific in my planning, and this takes practice. But believe me, if you can do it, if you can spend your time here nutting out your good main idea and even jotting down how you're going to support that, or a quick example, like for example, school holidays, it is going to be so much easier to extend that into your full sentences, into your essay in a very organized fashion. So have a look at how I went and tidied that up. I think it's in the next slide. There it is. Okay. So have a look at what I've done here now. I haven't written my full sentences, but obviously my topic is TV is educational. And I'm going to ask the question in order to support my main idea. So educational is my main idea, number one. Okay. And I now need to support my main idea. If I want to get high marks for that task fulfillment, which used to be called arguments and evidence, and this is why. So I'm going to ask this vital question: why is television educational? Why is educational good? And then, to support it further, I'm going to answer because. So I'm saying TV is educational, and this is good for children because it builds general knowledge. And I could take it one step further. Why is general knowledge good? I'm not going to necessarily write that, but I'm going to say it's important for children today to have a good general knowledge because it can assist them to get a better result at school. And this in turn means they could get a place at a better university, and therefore it extends into a better career. So if I can get these main points down educational, because general knowledge, because better results. Can you see that I've got a lot more to write about in a specific way than I had in my previous slide with just educational? Let's have a look at how I extended number 2. What was that second point there? Because I might have wanted to mention that as well. Yes, have a look at what I've done here. You see what I've done here is I've put my general knowledge down as a separate point there. Now, this is what I want to do. Once I jot down my ideas, I want to have a look at them, and I want to see, are any of these ideas related? Because actually, if I think about it, Bill's general knowledge is not necessarily a main idea. It's going to support my education, isn't it? TV's educational, because. So if I use it here, I'm going to start running a bit thin on my main ideas. I can compact it into supporting educational, and that's going to give me a stronger argument. Let's have a look at number 2. So here I've got TV keeps children occupied. And again, when or why? Why, when? It keeps them occupied during school holidays and rainy days, and even when their mothers are perhaps working. Why? There's my question word again. Why is this good? Because it keeps them out of trouble. And then you can expand on that. They're at home, they're occupied, they're not on the streets, they're not vulnerable, they're not going to fall in with the wrong people. They're at home watching educational programs, which is preparing them for their future. Good. So can you see that that is a much stronger structure, a much stronger planning than what I had on the first page? I've developed it into my 2 main ideas, and then I have supported, and I have supported with example, and I have supported here, and I've given examples. I've given some examples here, haven't I, with my, for example, whoa, this is really difficult to write with. There we go. So this is what is going to help you to build a very high AE, arguments and evidence mark, which falls now into your task response mark. I've responded in full to my task with my main ideas and supporting ideas. And this takes time and it takes practice. It's not something we all do every day. It takes time. So now what I want you to do is I want you to have a go at thinking of 1 or 2 arguments why you think television is harmful for children. No, television is more harmful for children. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I'll leave this one up and see if you can use that as a model in your ideas for no, I think television is more harmful. And let's have a look at the next slide. Did you have some of these ideas maybe? No, television is bad for eyes. Don't exercise, get fat, put on weight, get diabetes, don't socialize, eat junk food. But I need to organize those as well, don't I? Is there anything that I can combine there? Is there anything that's repeated? Well, first of all, I've got get fat and put on weight. And very often, I've seen this in essays over the years. Students might talk about a whole point and lots of words about how they get fat. And then in the next point, they'll talk about how they put on weight. And actually, I've argued the same thing twice. So in fact, I've only got one argument, haven't I? So beware of this. So we can just cross out that big get fat. We're going to use a better phrase, put on weight. Is there anything else that I can combine there? Because I've got a lot of main ideas, haven't I? Children don't exercise, put on weight. Have a look at how I've organized those ideas. Now I've just moved it onto the other side of the slide so that you can see that those are the ideas I had on the previous slide. And you can see, it's jumped a little bit, and you can see how I've organized those. First of all, when I look down this, I can see that a lot of this has to do with health. And then if I look a little bit further, I can think about physical health and indeed mental health or sort of emotional well-being. So I can break this down into television is bad for health. It's bad for both physical health as well as mental health and emotional well-being. Why is it bad for physical health? Because, and have a look at this if clause here, because if children don't exercise. Now we need to qualify this because not all children are going to sit in front of the television all the time and never do any exercise. So I qualify this with my if children don't exercise. And that helps me to use this more complex structure, my conditional. If children don't exercise, result, they put on weight. And another one, physical health. Why is television bad for physical health? Because very often children can spend time in front of the television eating a lot of junk food. And that is also going to help them put on weight. And we'll see later on that I can combine those into 2 points. That's 2 points into 1 point. And we're going to use some nice language to put that into a more complex structure. Now, I've also got this idea why bad for eyes here, haven't I? But then I move into mental health and have a look at this. If children spend a lot of time in front of the television, if they don't play and interact with other children, they don't develop social skills. They don't develop communication skills. If they're in front of the television on their own, they can become isolated and they can even become depressed. So I've got a lot of information here. I may not even need to bring into the point about eyes. So can you see that what I've put on this side over here is very different to how I started out once I started to think through my ideas and extend them and combine them into main idea and supporting idea. And this is where I see so many essays falling down, is that students don't do this adequately. And I know you're looking for high marks. I know you're looking for 6.5s. I know you're looking for 7s, sometimes even 7.5s. If you want to get those high band scores, you need to have your thoughts, your main ideas, well thought out and well supported. Let's move on. So here I've put them side by side again. And so this is what your planning should look like. And you can take a good 10 minutes to do this, because as you can see, now that I've got it all planned out, it's going to be so easy to just go straight into writing the body of my essay. But one more thing before we do. We need to decide which side of the argument we are going to present as a stronger argument. We don't want to have 2 points on this side and 2 points on this side, because then in a way I kind of cancel out my argument. I want one side of my argument to be stronger than the other side. That is the art of what we call persuasive writing, when I want to persuade my reader of my opinion and I want to change their mind. So I recommend that for the time that we have and for the amount of words that we have, that you have either 2 arguments on the one side and just 1 argument as your counter argument. And of course, it could be the other way around. You could have 2 arguments on this side, and then you'd perhaps just pick whichever you felt you wanted to write about, or you had time to write about. Maybe you choose to just write about that one, but you have 1 argument on the other side. So just write in this ratio, 2 on the one side, 1 on the other side. Good. So that is how we think and we plan at the same time. And it's a very important step. Don't rush it. Now, what did that say? Oh, these slides, they're formatting. Okay, good. All right, I'll just run that through that again. All right, so this one here was a quick revision of the 5 questions. So ask yourself those 5 questions. Take your time to analyze your topic. Ask yourself the 5 questions that will help you to keep on topic, which is going to get you your task fulfillment result. It will help you to keep on the focus of the topic, which will also help you with your task response, arguments and evidence mark. Question number 3, what kind of essay must I write? Is going to help me to ask the right question and answer the correct question, and answer all parts of the question. Question number 4, what question must I answer? Sorry, did I say that? That question is vital. Ask yourself the right question. And step number 5, think of ideas and plan at the same time. Good. So tonight we've covered what I have to do in task 2, how my essay is marked, some points of grammar that we must be strong on, especially if we want that level 7, 7.5. We've asked each one of the questions, and we've looked at the difference between my topic and my focus. My focus narrows it down, doesn't it? We've also noticed, make sure you don't confuse the kind of essay with the focus. The kind of essay is agree, disagree, advantages and disadvantages, a problem solution, a discussion, and maybe a 2-part essay or a 2-question essay. And then what we did was we had a look at how to think and plan at the same time. So these are all very vital steps, and they're going to help you to score in your arguments and evidence. And in our next lesson, we're going to talk about how to score higher in my CC. Remember, those are the ones, does my essay flow well? Is it easy to understand? And there we're going to look at the structure of my essay, and we're going to look at linking words. So that's all for tonight. If you would like to learn some more, you're welcome to contact our online center. You're welcome to sign up and come and do a mock test with us. And when you're ready, you're welcome to phone in or come in and book your test date, or book a short course if you feel you're not ready. And there are our contact details below, but you know us anyway, and you've got our emails. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, and which will cover more on focus, and is certainly going to cover the structure of the essay and some linking words. That's all for night. Good night.